This conference will now be recorded.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we have a pretty long agenda for a change. I have a report, so I'll open it up to the town clerk and the other board members if anyone has anything they would like to announce or report before I do.
I'd just like to say that if you haven't done your taxes yet, they need to be postmarked by Pat. That means hand it to her at the window before the end of the month, by the 30th. If it doesn't have that postmark on it, it'll end up getting returned to you. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that.
Thank you. Anna, do you have anything?
The only thing I'll say, our next comprehensive plan meeting is a week from today, April 28th at 5 p.m. here, and we'll have a virtual option as well.
I'll add it to the calendar, April 28th.
Thank you.
Five?
I'll get it to you and Dawn.
Okay, thank you. Mine is just circling back to a couple things. The truck discussion. Have you talked to anybody about the plow? Because I talked to
John about it.
Okay, and I talked to Eddie. So I think the switching of the plow from John to Eddie is going to work, and we won't spend money now, and then we'll just buy it like you had
With the
said.
truck.
Right. So I think
John
that's,
thought that was a good idea.
and he said they're compatible. Just the wiring harness for the plow on Eddie's truck just needs to be adjusted or something like that. I don't know the correct terminology, but I think that's it. And then the leaf mulcher vacuum is being ordered or is ordered. So that is also circling back to that. So that was it.
Do you have anything you'd like to announce? It's not mandatory, so.
Well, I'd just like to say that the town of Wilmington got certified for pro-housing community. So I'd like to thank Doug Nemec and Supervisor Hollis and Adam DeSantis for all of the help in getting that done. I think it's a pretty important thing to get done for grant wise and everything. It's easier to get grants with that being certified, and it shows that the town is interested in housing for residents. A good thing.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Darren, do you have anything to announce or report?
I think at this point I'm all set. I'm sure I'll have plenty to say during the meeting, so we'll save it for them.
Okay. So I did ask Sasha to look into community solar at the landfill, and it would generate 2,000 to 3,000 a month for the town. A battery facility there, battery storage facility, would generate 30,000 for the town annually. However, the current NYSEG single-phase power lines that are situated in that area aren't strong enough to support a community solar project. Sasha talked to Doug, the DEC, and a company called Solar Liberty. And she said that the DEC told her that they run into that a lot in this area. The power lines aren't strong enough to support community solar. She also said the reason why there's one in Saranac Lake near the hospital on the way to Donnelly's is because there is a phase 3 power line there because of the hospital. So until NYSEG updates phase 3 utility infrastructure, we are ineligible for solar and energy storage projects using those parcels.
Is that anywhere in Wilmington?
No.
That's good timing. The closest phase 3 power lines are 2.5 miles away on Hazelton Road. So, we have been kicking around the idea, it's been talked about in the community for a few years, that it would be nice if we could use that vacant space, unused space at the former landfill for a solar field, but currently it won't work. That's not to say that it wouldn't work other places. So this is from Solar Liberty. With that said, if NICEAG does extend or upgrade, which is something they do from time to time, we can reassess. So this is to, I'll go through this now so we don't have to go through it later. We're still looking for a member of the Board of Assessment Review. So, you know, I've kind of exhausted everything I can do, everything I can think of to do to try to find someone for this. Bert has dropped out because he has another obligation that he can't get out of. So we're back down to one member of the Board of Assessment Review. I'd just like to ask the rest of the board to do what they can to publicize the fact that we really could use one. Laura's publicity efforts were successful, but we still need another person. Serving on the Board of Assessment Review, it's pretty good job for the right person. It pays it pays $400, requires one afternoon of training, noon to 4:30 in Elizabethtown, and then you have to hear people's grievances on grievance day, which is 10 a.m. To noon, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's May 26th. So the training's May 7th. Grievance day is May 26th. I guess that, you know, if we can't find another person, so hopefully as of today we will have two. If we can't find a third, does the county send us a person to serve as our third person, or?
They're supposed to, but they said they're really short this year, so I don't know what'll happen.
Okay, so hopefully we can find someone that's, if you're interested in discussing your assessment with one of our assessors, you can come to the town hall to do that on May 7th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., May 12th, 4 p.m. to 8, May 19th, 4 to 8, and May 23rd, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. There will be a Lake Placid School budget hearing in this room on May 5th at 5 p.m. And voting on the Lake Placid School budget will take place here on May 19th from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. I'm certainly aware that there's a lot of concern about Osable Forks Elementary School. I was told by someone who I consider a very well-informed and reliable source that that school is safe for the coming year. What happens in the future is he didn't address that, but it's safe for this year. A member of the public brought to Laura and my attention the fact that flags are supposed to either be taken down at dusk or illuminated. So I think John has addressed that. You spoke with John about it. The same member of the public he thought it was a problem that the parking lot was poorly lit for people leaving these meetings or other meetings. So to me, it seems adequately lit, but I'd like to hear from the public. Do you all think it's adequately lit? Or the board, you know, just, no?
I don't have an opinion.
Okay. Does anyone have an opinion?
I haven't paid enough attention to it.
Okay, well, just think about it maybe, and if you notice one way or the other. To me, it seemed pretty well lit. We're still looking for counselors and possibly maybe a director for the summer youth program. Still looking for lifeguards. We do have, I think, three lifeguards who are coming back this summer, but we could definitely use more. We need more. And then this is really just a formality, but it's something we have to do. Sasha is applying for this grant, and I need a resolution. I'll make a motion to authorize applying for this grant. It's an arts support grant from a New York Council on the Arts, and it will fund artist workshops for the youth program or library and summer concerts, paying the acts for the summer concerts. If we get it, I believe there is no matching element, which is a problem for some grants because they're for a lot of money, but if the town has to pay 20 or 30 or 10% of millions and millions, that's a problem for the town. So if anyone hasn't seen that, I think this side of the table has seen it, but should be non-controversial. So I'll make that motion to authorize, I guess, this application. Is there a second? Discussion. Okay, hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carries. That's everything, I believe. You know, when we talk about manufactured housing, it is one of these things where it seems like every person I talk to, I'm not an expert on this topic, and it seems like every person I talk to tells me something different. So what Anna Reynolds with the county Office of Community Services suggested is we have a subject matter expert come and talk to the board and the public and maybe answer anyone's questions. And, you know, I think it's not a bad idea, but I'm interested in what the rest of the board thinks. And this would probably be my first call, see if they would want to come. But just, you know, I hear that, you know, the real problem is single wides. And then I hear, no, that's not true. I hear the real problem, the real key is making sure they're HUD certified. And then our code already requires them to be HUD certified. So I just feel like I hear a lot of different things from different people. And I'd like to get an authoritative person to give us more information. Or at least I think it's an idea worth considering. So just bringing it up. Any thoughts from the board?
I'm fine with that.
I think it'd be great to just inquire. There's so much different and frequently conflicting information out there.
That's right.
It'd be nice for someone who's well versed to answer some questions.
Great. Any thoughts?
I think it's a good idea.
The only thing I would say is, I mean, if that's the road that we're going down, I don't think we should take action on local law number 2 until we have that meeting.
Fair. Okay. Well, you know, we're not going to take any action. I don't think we'll set a public hearing. We'll hopefully push it forward, but as far as taking official action, I think the only official action we would take would be submit it to the town attorney or the land use attorney. But I don't plan on trying to set a public hearing or anything tonight. But we'll just discuss it and see, hopefully we can. I'm hopeful, and I believe that this is something that the board pretty much as a whole will support, but we'll see where the discussion goes. Okay, BAR appointment. So I'll make a motion to appoint Jason Hooker to the Board of Assessment Review with 3-year term expiring at the end of 2028. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Don, I'm abstaining.
Okay, next discussion item is AWR fencing. And, you know, this is another thing where maybe I hear different things from different people. In what state is this fencing? And are there places where it would be useful for the town? Does the town want any of this fencing if we can get some for free? So it's just a discussion item. Just a thought. Do you have thoughts?
I mean, I know what it is, but other than the community garden, I can't see where there'd be a lot of other places that it would be useful for the town. At least that's my opinion. I mean, it's a 8 or 10 foot tall fence, steel fence. I don't really know where the town would want to install that otherwise.
Well, this fence out here is tired, but,
It's way too,
right.
it wouldn't work for that.
Is this your fence?
Well, I'm part of the garden.
Got it.
The deer moved right in around like end of August. They're like, oh, everything's ready. You need it all.
No, I was wondering if you were the person who bought the wildlife
Oh,
refuge.
no. Okay. I'm just a gardener.
Right, so it's too much for right out here.
I'm not sure. I thought you were talking about this fence behind the,
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, it's too much for that.
Okay.
I mean, Hannah knows
It's
what
kind of
it is.
overkill.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but
We'd have to,
The trees would be a
it would be a
problem.
lot. Yeah. you'd
We
have to
don't
do a
even
lot.
really need a fence there.
Yeah,
so.
that's, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I think that was Fred that put that fence up there to stop the snow from being pushed over too far type deal.
Makes sense.
Kevin and I talked a little bit about this yesterday, and Kevin might have some more information to add as well. I think my opinion is just that it depends on which particular fencing we get. If we're talking about the chain link fence that was put up as the perimeter, I don't know the state of that. I haven't seen it since, it's been several years since I've seen it. My suggestion was the new enclosures that were built most recently. Those were put up, like I said, in panels that were meant to look semi-nice. And I think if they could be taken down and reconstructed here, that would look a little bit better. But again, I don't really know the condition of those at this time.
Okay.
So I think my suggestion is to get Kevin or someone over there to look at it once it's deconstructed, to check the condition of it and see if it, would function for what we're looking for, and he would look still semi-decent.
I've had several people over the years bring up to me that they would like a fence put at the beach between the townhouses and the beach. If it's a nice looking wood fence, that could be used for that. I don't know if I've ever seen this fence, so I don't know.
It's just, I mean, you might know, I call it goat fence. It's like the 16 or might be slightly smaller gauge wire tacked onto a wooden
yeah,
frame.
it's not any wooden fence that looks
Yeah,
nice. It's like a steel fence.
It's wire fence on a wood frame, yeah.
Understood.
I don't think it's quite what you're looking for that.
Probably not, no. Okay. Any other thoughts about this topic? Any members of the board?
Nope.
Okay, I covered the next discussion item. This discussion item, I met with the Osable Freshwater Center for an hour and a half on Thursday. It was a very good meeting. It was a very honest meeting and very overwhelmingly informative. It was also, it didn't leave me with a lot of optimism. Their director wants to take the dam out. They believe that water should be unobstructed and free flowing. Yes, which wasn't a shock to me. It wasn't a shock to me that they believe that in their hearts. It was a shock that they were so open about saying it. Because that's not going to fly with the town during my lifetime.
We're still paying it off, aren't we?
We are, in fact, we're still paying it off. Yeah. So it was good. I got so much information. They said, if you think the sediment is bad now, just wait, because the sediment from Marcy Dam hasn't even arrived in Wilmington yet. So that's when I say it was, I didn't leave that meeting with a lot of pep in my step, They said if we're going to dredge, there will be no adverse environmental impact to dredging. This has been studied in roughly 2010 or so. It was found there would be no adverse environmental impact. And so they'll help us with it procedurally with the bureaucracy. They'll help us with it any way they can, because they want to see it done well if we're going to do it. I think, as Roy said a few years ago, probably the way if we're going to do this, the way to do it is just a few hundred yards a year. Possibly we could possibly the town could do that. But that's probably a discussion for a future meeting. It's definitely a discussion for a future meeting. I'm just trying to think if there were any other, I know that there were other important things I want to share. You know, we were told that we needed this grant studying the sediment to get grants to dredge the river. Totally false. Totally false. Those two things are completely separate. You don't have to wait on this sediment study. Sediment study hasn't even started yet. We applied for 8 years ago. They're doing that, the Freshwater Center. So they will know, we'll all have more information in the future, but they were very certain that the sediment from Marcy Dam has not arrived in Wilmington yet. You know, the thing that they told me that gave me some optimism is that, you know, big rainstorms will naturally remove the sediment, carry it down past the dam. What they said we should do is open the gate when there's a big rainstorm coming. So I thought, okay, good. At least that will help somewhat. Of course, it won't work practically. See, it sounds like a good idea. It's not going to work. And if anyone wants further information about why it won't work, I can provide that later. But it won't work. It'll work certain times of the year, but much of the year it won't work. In the summer, it won't work. I know there were other things I wanted to mention, but that's all I can think of at the moment. So, okay, unless anyone has any questions or anything.
How about in the spring when the river is really high from snow melt,
That-
rain or whatever?
The problem is that when the gates open, things get stuck in the gate. And then it's a huge ordeal to remove the stuff that gets stuck in the gate. It's you know, we have to pay some people to do it. The gate itself gets stuck. So the next thing was the town put a grate in front of the gate. Well, now things get stuck in the grate. Yeah, and so it's the similar ordeal to remove the things from the grate. I'm sure that Dawn and Darren and lots of town employees know more about this than I do, so feel free to chime in if you have anything you want to add.
One of the bigger issues with it is when the dam was installed, the gate is put on, it's not in the center channel of the river. The gate is put off to one side.
Yes.
So effectively, when it's washing a channel down one edge of the river, but it's not in the main channel of the river. So its capacity to effectively flush stuff down is limited, to say the best.
When the gate was put in, they put a smaller one in than what was there to start with. And it didn't work. It works on paper, but it's one of those things that works on paper, but doesn't work in reality.
Like opening the gate when there's a storm coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we did get it increased
Yeah,
maybe
a little bit.
10 years ago
Well, that's what
when
we
Randy
said.
was supervisor, and that's part of the dam rehab that we're still paying for.
Yep.
Which it made it better, because when it was originally done in maybe 2006 or something like that, the gate that was put in was so small, unless it was basically a drought, you couldn't get the water to go down in the river. So then the gate got increased maybe 10 years later, but it's still not as big as the original gates that was in the dam when it was constructed.
No, there's a study somewhere where they did a study when Judy Ashworth was here.
Mhm.
And to fix it, you would have to either take out the dam and put one of those cut things in the bottom part so that the sediment could go down through, or put in a second gate. I think Randy looked at the price of the second gate on the other side.
Yep.
And it just is crazy.
Yep.
So we couldn't do it. So we settled for putting the bigger gate in, but it's still not as big as the original gate. And that's why we've got all the built up.
It's one of the reasons.
One of the reasons, right?
Yep. It certainly doesn't help.
No.
No. I looked at David Newman. I remembered what else I wanted to say. David brought up what I thought was a really good idea of using the dam for, electricity generation and doing some dredging that way. Using that as a basis to do some dredging or trying to kill two birds with one stone. And, well, and of course, that's not going to work either. The river's not big enough for effective electricity generation, at least according to the staff of the Sable Freshwater Center. You know, I'm certainly open to fact checking that, hearing from other people, but that's their perspective on it. It will work. Definitely was their perspective as well that the gate should be at the bottom of the dam. Well, it's great to know that in 2026, you know.
That was looked at back when Don Macy was supervisor, and the town people at that point decided not to do it
Yep,
because they didn't want to give the people that were gonna fund it tax break.
That's,
Steel should be able to bring that.
that's the power generation.
right. Seal, do you remember that?
No.
No? I knew that.
I remember, you know,
Yep,
stuff about it.
yep. I knew it was something.
Not give back.
Yes, that's more than I know as well. I knew it was something DeMacy talked about. I knew it was something they wanted to do. I know Chris McGill was involved, or at least that's what I've been told. And I also knew that it fell apart eventually. Nothing happened, but I didn't know the reason why nothing happened. They did mention that Chris McGill is generating electricity in Black Brook, which I knew I had heard he was going to try to do that. I didn't realize he'd actually done it. So that's got to be a smaller tributary than the Osceola River. So, you know, they said it's enough to power like 7 houses, which if that can power 7 houses, I don't know what the Osceola River would do. But again, that's a discussion for another day. But I just wanted to inform the board and the town of how depressed I was after that meeting. I think it's good information for us all to have, especially the fact that the sediment from Marcy Dam hasn't reached Wilmington yet, and it's going to be worse in the not so distant future. Okay, unless anyone else has anything else to say about that topic. Beach light posts. When I wrote this agenda, I thought Lou was going to be here. Lou is sick, so I'm kind of just trying to parrot what he's told me. He had planned on bringing some examples of replacement light posts, but he's sick, so that'll have to wait till the next meeting.
Looks like the old ones are down.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yep. Yes.
Looks better than the
I know, that's what I said.
hanging lights and stuff anyways.
Yes. Yep.
Step in the right direction.
So maybe I'm just out of the loop or didn't get the email or something. We had talked about that at the last meeting.
Yes.
How did we get to the point of taking them down? Because at the last meeting, we didn't know if we could touch them or not touch them, or what happened
Well,
to get to this point.
Lou said, I think they're a safety hazard. Can I take them down? And I said, yes.
Yeah.
Possibly I should have waited for a meeting and had the board resolve to do it. But if they are a safety hazard, which he is our safety officer, and he was telling me explicitly they're a safety hazard. So I think it's probably I don't think it's improper for me to authorize him to do it.
I don't have any problem with it. I just didn't know how we got to that point. That's all. Because the attorney was going to look into it, so I didn't know if we heard something back. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Well, that brings us to the other part of this conversation, which is and I don't know, I'm not sure if this has been discussed with the board. So where we are with this is originally, a lot of you, this will be redundant, but originally in 2011, roughly, when the condos were approved, the deal was that the people who were building the condos would get the road up to code and turn it all over to the town. And then the light poles would be in the right of way. Well, here we are in 2026, and that still hasn't been done. So what I've asked Lou to do is give us very precise an estimate as he can of what it will cost to get the road up to code, what it will cost to repair the sidewalks, because the sidewalks are destroyed, and put in new light poles. And because the owner, or I'm not sure if he would be the owner, or what his title is with this company. He's either the owner or the CEO or some other title similar. He just wants the town to take over the road, which, okay, but you have to do what you said you would do 12 years ago. So we're trying to figure out what that will cost, and then we'll tell him that, and if he'll give us that money, I'll bring that back to the board and we can hopefully authorize, and we'll just proceed. Doug, do you have thoughts? I know.
Yeah. What you said is fine.
Okay. Doug is more up to speed on all of this than anyone, so we've been talking about it for the past months. I think that's everything I want to say about that topic. Other thoughts from the board? Site plan review. The reason this is here as a discussion topic is Hannah had asked me about site plan review. Local law 2 does require site plan review, or this draft of local law 2 that we'll be talking about soon requires it. And so, the question is, well, what is it, and should we make it more rigorous? Site plan review is defined, described on pages, I think, 98 to 110 of the code. It's very in-depth. It's a lot. I mean, the question is always, how strictly is the planning board applying what the code says? And we'll have to discuss that. And I think Tony and I can discuss that, and they'll have to discuss it. It's somewhat of a ongoing conversation. Does anyone else have any thoughts, or please?
As far as the site plan review, it almost seems like there should be different site plan reviews for different items, and I don't think ours is broke up that way. A site plan review for a single family manufactured housing on a 0.9 acre lot should be different than a site plan review for a
giant store,
10,000 square foot Family Dollar. Right. So, I mean, I feel like we almost need to maybe have some subsections of site plan review, because it should not be as rigorous for a single family house as it is a commercial development of some type.
Totally agree. You want to speak to that at all, Doug? Okay. Well, I'll ask you, are there different types of site plan criteria for different types of projects, or is everyone?
Depending on the size of the project, the seeker type 1 could be part of it. And that's a big deal. But it only occurs on certain things.
Large projects.
Right. Like specifically large subdivisions. And depending on the subdivision, how it's laid out, it may trigger it. And that would be brought up by APA or the health department to require it, usually.
Would like a 10,000 square foot Dollar General require? It would, right? It would.
It requires a seeker, and it did the last time it was trying to be brought into town. But I've had very little experience with it. So it's all new ground for me.
Okay.
Just
go ahead.
As far as a site plan review and stuff, correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, there's wording in there as far as, stormwater runoff and all of that type of thing in a site plan review, correct? Typically.
Right, but the stormwater runoff normally falls into the whole seeker category. That's one of the things that would trigger that.
The most, and I told Tim, it's like the most in depth of all of our applications. There's a checklist and there's an application, and then there may or may not be required a public hearing afterwards. Like it is, I mean, if it takes up, what, 7 pages of our code?
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's on par with the plan development category. So, I mean, it is cumbersome, and it's cumbersome for the applicant as well. So, and for the planning board to review the application, make sure everything's there. So,
In your experience as a former planning board member, how closely was what is required in the code adhered to?
I mean, I think sometimes that the checklists were complete, sometimes they weren't. It all depends on the project, like Doug said, but it's hard for the planning board to, understand exactly what is required for each one. Maybe that's in line with what Darren's saying about, requiring less for certain projects or more for certain other ones. But it is, that is, and it applies to quite a few of the things in our use table, so, or whatever the regulation table, I can't remember what, okay.
Yep. Anyone have additional thoughts? You're a former planning board member as well.
Well, for certain projects you want definitely more rigorous information or whatever on a single family home. Some of the stuff in there shouldn't really apply to a single family home, in my opinion. I mean, you want to kind of encourage people to build, maybe. I mean, you don't want to overbuild, but you want to make it kind of easy for people to build if they so desire. You don't want to discourage them, I don't think. In certain cases, anyways. Obviously, you can't have everybody building at once or whatever. I mean, you don't want to over saturate the market, I wouldn't think either. So rules are rules, but sometimes rules are too many rules.
Mm-hmm. I'm certainly familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think everything is well taken, and I think everyone who wants to can review this criteria, and we can talk about requiring different types of site plans for different projects. I do think that makes sense. Maybe some things should be more strict than they currently are, and some things should be way less strict. Unless anyone else has anything to say, we'll move on to Amnesty Day.
Nope.
Amnesty Day. This is on the agenda because I was asked by a board member to put it on the agenda. Multiple community members have persistently asked me about it, so let no one say I do not listen. So it's here. Have at it.
They used to have it years ago. I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly when they had it, but they used to have it. I don't know if they had it every year either, but I think it would be kind of nice to have it every other year or every 3 years or something, so people can get rid of some of their junk.
Yeah, can someone who was here when it was happening, Randy or Dawn or whoever, I don't remember it, but can you describe for everyone what it is, what it was, what it would be?
Kind of like a free, get rid of stuff laying around your yard or inside your house. It's not for household garbage. I mean, it's for like metal.
Brush.
Probably brush, yeah. Electronics, some electronics. I mean, I think it's not for commercial, it's for residents. You have to be a resident of the town, I would say. Like Osable or Town of Jay is having one, and it's for residents only of Jay, so.
What did you say, Leon?
The town came with their trucks and picked it up, and that's why they ceased doing it, because it was getting too expensive, they said.
But then we had dump days, free dump day where you could take stuff if you wanted.
Well, it
to
was
the
all
dump.
incorporated. If you couldn't take it, the town came along and they're trying to make it. How many years they done it, I don't remember. They were doing it, but then they stopped because it was getting.
Would they go to every individual's house or were there some
Yeah,
locations?
that's how you want to go, you put it out in front, and they stop it.
Why is that happening?
Main thing.
You have to be careful when you're doing it. It cost us $10,000 to do it. You gotta set a quota as to what you're doing, like for units for Freon. You can get it set up with the county to do a tire day, because if not, you're paying for the tires. And we do it for like 4 hours or until the dumpsters are full. So you gotta set your criteria and have your homework done before you just say, yeah, bring everything, because it can cost you a lot of money.
Right, and another problem we had when they did it was that people would put stuff out by the road, or their wife, this the wife,
They would put their
put
life.
stuff, no, the wife put stuff out by the road that the husband didn't want out there. The town took it, and they ended up having to pay the man for the stuff his wife had thrown away. Yeah, which, that was one of the reasons it stopped.
You didn't put stuff out there that you wanted to?
I think the reason,
Wonder if they're picking them up.
you know, at our meetings this year, we've had multiple times people have brought up that they are bothered by the, junk in people's yards. And so, other citizens who have also attended these meetings are mentioning to me, well, there could be an amnesty day and the town could pick up the junk in people's yards. So, I've been asked about this repeatedly, and so I'm just put it on the agenda, so to discuss it.
Why can't it be that people bring their stuff to the dump? Can you limit it to that? I mean, how,
You'll have to ask them that.
I mean,
When it ended, that's the way it was. I mean, Seal's correct about people picking it up, but it hasn't been that way in 30 plus years. I mean, there was free dump days after that where people had to bring their own stuff, but if I wasn't on the board then, it was probably when I worked for the town. And it seems like it ended up costing us like $10,000 then, and this was 20 years ago, and $10,000 out of our dump bill back then. I mean, we only had a $30,000 dump budget, and it pretty much put the squash to that. So
Did
that's
they
kinda
do
what I did.
quotas or time limits or anything then? Or was it just sort of free
It's
for all for the day?
in your town, so why
Yeah.
can't you use that money?
I talked to Doug about it. He said that if we limited the tires, the mattresses, what else did you say, Doug?
Couches,
Couches, the big
Yeah, what if we
items,
just put
it
some
would,
metrics on it?
yeah. But,
I think the big couches are what we want to get rid of, or the big items are what we want to get rid of.
That's what a lot of people are going.
I do think that if, the town, meaning John, just kidding, John, if the town were to pick it up from people's yards, that would probably cut down on the amount significantly. And if it wasn't just like household trash, but larger items, and it would also ensure that it's actual residents.
The other thing that was happening is it wasn't doing what we wanted it to do. Like the idea of it was to clean up junk in people's yards.
Yep.
Instead, those people still didn't clean up the junk because they're the ones that didn't care anyway.
Yep.
But the neighbor next door said, I've had a bunch of stuff in my shed that I want to clean out. So they clean out their shed, which nobody can see anyway, but the junk's still in the neighbor's yard next door. So it wasn't really doing the intended purpose.
That doesn't surprise me.
people want to do it.
Other thoughts from the board?
Potentially do like a paid tag day, so like every day, if $35 fee to have it picked up on a certain day. So that reduces the cost overall, but it still accomplishes
Do we want to move forward with this, or have we discussed this and found that it's not practical?
I think we need to table it and have a further discussion before we move forward.
Oh, I'm not remotely saying we should schedule it for June 3rd, I'm saying, do we want to even continue discussing this, or have we found that it's not practical? It has been tried in the past and didn't accomplish the intended purpose and is too expensive, or if we want to move forward with it, that's acceptable to me too, so.
I don't think I'd go around picking up garbage out of people's yards or junk out of people's yards. If you do that, you're gonna end up with a mountain of junk. I mean, really, why wouldn't they pile it out next to the road or whatever if they knew they could get rid of it for nothing? I would.
Sure, yep, sure.
I don't think that's a good idea at all, but if somebody wants to haul a TV or something or whatever, maybe limit it to a certain, like you can't bring more than one television and one whatever chair, or like a living room chair.
It's gonna be so
You
hard
know, you
to
don't-
keep track of that though.
You don't wanna
We
fill
gotta
the whole place with junk.
one man show out
The
there.
dump.
Yeah. Cause you could. If you said, well, we're gonna pick up garbage on a certain day, well, be prepared.
Right. Yep. Other thoughts?
I don't think we should give up on the idea if enough people are concerned about it. I just don't know if this is the right answer to it.
As far as the junk in people's yards, do we want to discuss that, and do we want to try to address that?
I mean, I think it's something that we should probably discuss, but I think that's not gonna be just through this type of process. I think we need to just redefine, we have a junk car thing. I think we could amend the code to have not necessarily just junk cars, but an excess of,
Junk,
for a lack of a better word.
junkyard.
Yeah.
Yard of junk. Okay, what does everyone else think? These people, I can barely get a word in. All right, well, I guess we'll move up. If any other board members want to revisit the Amnesty Day concept, just take the lead on it, and I'm open to revisiting it. But to me, this conversation has ground to a halt. But if someone else wants to pick up the ball at this point and try to get it forward, that's fine with me. Any other thoughts or statements or? Okay. There is a dumpster in the same vein. There's a dumpster that's been a problem in this town for a few years at this point. It's just as bad now as it has been in the past, and I believe something needs to be done because, some people are, as far as aesthetics, some people are irked by a double wide. Some people are irked by a $10,000 or 10,000 square foot Dollar General. I think everyone's irked by trash on Route 86, just free, blowing in the wind and accumulating and filling up the woods. So I think we need to deal with it. I think Doug has started the process today, so tomorrow. Okay. You just update us and update me. Okay, thanks. I don't have anything other than that. I think hopefully this can be resolved, this way.
Why can't they put it up in back or something instead of right next to the road?
That's one of our questions.
I mean, you can't help but notice it. What is it?
People, just any person can go by and put the track in.
Right, yeah.
Year-round Amnesty Day.
Get a bigger dumpster then.
That's true. Once the word gets out. Okay, I think that's enough about that topic unless anyone has anything else to say. Okay. Agenda item 2. Laura, will you, so procedurally, if we ultimately pass something similar to this, local law 2, procedurally, what we have to do is introduce this local law today. And so there has to be a motion introducing it and a second. So is there a motion to introduce this local law?
I'll make the motion to introduce local law number 2.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks. Okay, this is in response to what we heard, both from the board and from the public. I left the definition of, I wrote this, I left the definition of, Laura had input and we went back and forth about it somewhat. I left the square feet of tiny homes undefined because Darren has thoughts about that and would like it to be higher than the number we were talking about previously. I guess just for the public, I'll roll through these as quickly as I can and summarize them, unless someone else would like to do that.
I can roll through it.
Through the sections? Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You-
We can start at like 3.
Okay.
Yep.
So the amendments to so we took what we had previously submitted and then made some changes. This summarizes some of them. But obviously this is still in draft form. We'd like it to, we would like it to move forward to a public hearing, but that all depends on how it's taken. So he already mentioned this about the dwelling, the tiny house, the dwelling unit of less than so ever many square feet. And then an amendment to the next section 4, it's Article 4, Use Regulations. The zoning ordinance is hereby amended pursuant of the adoption of this local law. Dwelling tiny house shall be added to the residential use regulations use table in Article 4 of the town zoning ordinance. And then another amendment to that article is the town's zoning ordinance is hereby amended pursuant of the adoption of this local law. Dwelling tiny house shall require a site plan review in hamlets 1 and 2 and moderate intensity zoning districts. Then amendment to the same article of the zoning ordinance is hereby amended. I don't have my glasses, so bear with me. Pursuant to the adoption of this local law, dwelling manufactured home shall be added to the residential use regulations use table in Article 4 of the town's zoning ordinance. Amendment to Article 4 of the town zoning ordinance. Article 4, use regulations of the town zoning ordinance is hereby amended pursuant to the adoption of this local law. Dwelling manufactured home shall require site plan review in hamlets 1, 2, and moderate intensity zoning districts. I don't know my Roman numerals. I'm sorry. I'm good with 4. What's the one? 16? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Article 16, definitions of the town zoning ordinance is hereby amended prior to the adoption of this local law. The definition of dwelling manufactured home reads as follows. Dwelling manufactured home dash homes manufactured post 1976 that are transported as complete homes or in sections on a permanent chassis that can be rapidly assembled. If built prior to 1976, a manufactured home is referred to as a mobile home. All regulations referring to manufactured homes shall be equally applied to mobile homes. Pursuant to the adoption of this local law, the definition of dwelling manufactured home shall read as follows. It's the same except for removing all regulations referring to manufactured homes shall equally apply to mobile homes. Next page. amendment to Article 5 of the town zoning ordinance. Article 5, dimensional regulations of the zoning ordinance is hereby amended. Prior to the adoption of this local law, the subsection of Article 5 regulating manufactured housing shall read as follows. Additional density requirements for manufactured homes. A, manufactured homes, the minimum land area required for all mobile homes shall be 3 acres. Pursuant to the adoption of this local law, the subsection of Article 5 regulating manufactured housing shall read as follows. Additional density requirements for manufactured homes, that same language, and then the addition of the minimum land required for all manufactured homes shall be 1 acre. No more than 1 manufactured or mobile home shall be permitted per lot. Section 10, amendment to Article 5 of the town zoning ordinance. Article 5, dimensional regulations of the town zoning ordinance is hereby amended The following words shall be added to Article 5. Additional density requirements for tiny houses. Tiny houses, the minimum land area required for all tiny houses shall be 1 acre. No more than 1 tiny home shall be permitted per lot. Section 11, amendment to Article 6
Mhm.
of the town zoning ordinance. Sorry, I'm not deaf. It's just I haven't done this in a while. Of the town zoning ordinance is hereby amended prior to the adoption of this local law. The section of Article 6 regulating manufactured homes reads as follows. Yep.
So I'm just going to
Cut to the
summarize this more. Yeah. So it's the same. And then we added, starting on 3, requiring deck, wooden steps or a deck. They must be made no more than 5 years before they were installed. They need to have a roof pitch of 5.5 or greater.
5 on 12.
5, sorry, yes. I don't know my Roman numerals. 5 by 12. And they're not eligible for use as a vacation rental. And this is here because this was definitely something that multiple members of the public brought up as a concern that, easing the rules on manufactured homes might just allow more people to buy investment properties, which is not at all the intent of this ordinance. However, the very next, the next one, 12, is the same, except it applies to tiny homes, meaning tiny homes are not allowed to be used as STRs either, unless they are an accessory dwelling unit to someone's main home. The point of this is the same as before. We don't just want to spread the proliferation of investment properties. We also want to allow town residents who want to create an STR using a tiny house. We want to allow them to do that. So that's the purpose of 12. This is just, the next one is just, redefining redefining the minimum size of a dwelling unit, which was something that the planning board brought to us. Currently, the minimum size of a dwelling unit is 500 square feet, and the planning board has asked us to lower that number to 300. The rest of it is boilerplate. And with that, I think. I'm opening the floor to, we'll let the board discuss this, and then possibly we'll open it up to some public comments. But first, any members of the board? Yep.
So, as I discussed with you the other day, I'm happy to see that basically the hamlet has been taken out, and that was a complaint of a lot of the people at the public hearing. Overall, I don't have, a lot of issues with it. However, I think it's very conflicting and needs to be rewritten. And the reasons why I say that are basically under the new section of manufactured homes, and you have like number 4 and 5, for example. Well, if we're talking about no manufactured homes can be installed that are older than 5 years old, doesn't that completely remove mobile homes anyway? Because mobile homes
Yes.
are 1976. So I'm not sure why we're even talking about mobile homes if we can literally only put a home that's 5 years old in. Like, all of that can be stricken from the code. It's just me. It's wordage that's in there that's irrelevant because it's not permitted anyway based on later than the code. So when we have like additional density requirements for mobile homes and it's saying the minimum land area for all mobile homes shall be 3 acres. Well, if we're not allowing any home older than 5 acres, that completely eliminates mobile homes anyway. So it's kind of like, it says it here, but later on it says we can't even have a mobile home. So why is it in the code? So that's kind of where I'm getting at. And it's like this throughout the whole code. It's kind of back and forth. Again, the 512 roof pitch is fine. Laura, no offense, hopefully I'm not making you, triggering you in any way, but Laura's house is a very nice looking house on Route 431. But I've done a fair amount of construction, and if her house it's lucky if it's a 512. Most double wide houses that are manufactured, a lot of times are 312 pitch. 512 is actually a fairly steep pitch, but not all manufactured housing are 512. So, I mean, I think the intent is good, but you know, one of Laura's main things were like her house is a nice looking house and there's nothing wrong with it. But by putting stuff like in that, we could literally be eliminating a house like Laura's, which there's no problem with in Wilmington. So, like, I feel like there's, like, it helps in some ways, but then there's like oversight in some other ways, and it's kind of all over the place. We talk about mobile homes, but yet the mobile homes aren't allowed. So, unfortunately, it's like the intent's good, but there's no way that I can even close to vote yes for it the way it is because it's just all over the place.
Manufactured homes are coded where it'll tell you that it's built for New England or Midwest or the southern areas. Maybe you could talk to one of the manufacturers or dealers.
Is this not just maybe a misuse of mobile? I think these should just read manufactured instead of mobile.
Well, that's a mistake that's in the code.
It's already in the code.
Okay, so this is, I see.
This is a glaring mistake that's in the code
It's just fixing that.
because mobile homes that are defined as pre-1976. So if our code is actually being interpreted literally, anyone could have been putting a manufactured home wherever they want this whole time. But no one's been applying the code literally.
And then the other thing,
even the people that 12 years ago made mistakes. So, okay, go ahead.
this is just another point, and Doug, correct me if I'm wrong on this. I believe it's now New York State code that all manufactured homes have to be installed at least on a slab, right? They can no longer be put on piers, Doug?
That is not true.
Okay.
That's what's recommended.
Okay.
The code official can authorize stone, wood, whatever. However, if you put in the regulation, you need a foundation slab or whatever, then that would be the rule.
Right. So basically, that's what I was getting at. We have it in here stated on a permanent foundation. I think a permanent foundation should be defined on what a permanent foundation is. Is that a basement? Is that a slab? What's considered a permanent foundation? So those are a few of the things that I think that we need to address before we can move this forward. And that's under, I don't know, manufactured homes A1 on page 3.
So the original language does say on a permanent foundation, like the original code right
I
now. says
understand,
that.
but-
I know what you're saying. You want it further.
If we're trying to clean it up,
Yeah.
let's clean it up and be, so when people say a permanent foundation, well, what does that mean?
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I do construction and I'm not sure what would classify as a permanent foundation. Depending on what you do, permanent foundation has many different meanings.
You're not triggering me. I appreciate it. But I could be hallucinating. It was 21 years ago, 22 years ago, but I believe Bob Guinup is the one who recommended I get a 5 on 12. And that was that I told the builder.
I'm not
So
sure.
I could be, but I have all that stuff at house. But at any rate, I remember him saying something about the snow load and the roof pitch were recommended at that, especially in the Adirondacks. That's what he always recommended. That's what Bob had told me. And
It may
I
very
could
well
wrong.
be, but there is manufactured homes in town that are not 512 and they look very nice.
Right. I think it was more for like the snow load and protecting the home itself.
Which again,
That's
no mobile homes have that. So I'm not sure why it would even be in the code.
I think it was more for stability and protection, not for aesthetics. And I understand, but because nobody had even mentioned that, I just said that it was something that was hammered into me when I had my house put on. But certainly, this is, like we said,
And I think if you have that representative from wherever that outfit was out of Plattsburgh, come and talk to people and, he would know a heck of a lot more about it than any of us, I guess.
Yeah.
So roof pitch, permanent foundation. What else?
And then we have to
clean up the language.
figure out if we're even gonna have mention mobile homes, because like I said, we're basically, it's not allowed if we're saying 5 years or older after that. I mean, anything from 1976 is not permitted anyway. And that being said, something from 2015 is not permitted. So like,
Do you think it's too strict? 5 years?
I didn't say that. I'm just saying that it basically doesn't jive with the rest of the language in here.
Well, that all makes sense.
Something 10 years ago could look just as good as something 5 years old.
Yep.
I mean, there are instances where maybe 4 years old looks worse than 10 years old, So I don't know how you would go about defining that really and be fair with it.
Your thought was to not allow relocation. That was correct. I could be wrong, but I thought that's what.
I think that would alleviate the relocation. And I think that was why we left the mobile home part in, because you can relocate any home.
I left it in because it was there in the current code, and I wasn't really thinking about like cleaning up the code in general. I was thinking about adding what we want to add, not fixing mistakes that were made 15 years ago. But I'm up for taking out, I mean, what you're saying, Darren, does make sense, but it just wasn't my mindset when I was working on this.
I just, when I read through it, it's something that kind of came and I'm like,
Yep.
There's a lot of extra words in an extra language and there's no need for it. The less language that's in there, it's easier to interpret. It's easier for our zoning and planning boards. And I think there'll be less confusion.
Yes, yeah. I was just repeating what's in there currently, but yeah, I can definitely look to delete stuff that is superfluous. As far as, things that were made 12 years ago looking better than things that were made 4 years ago, I'm open to whatever the board wants to do. I don't have a big perspective, or I don't have a,
The chat box.
why don't we just turn that off?
You want the chat to go?
No. No, just leave it. Let's see.
Well, this is a board discussion.
I know,
currently,
I
so,
know. I just,
Okay, so Darren and I are on the same page where, prohibiting the use of manufactured homes or tiny homes, standalone tiny homes as vacation rentals. I'm all for it. I think that makes total sense. I'm not sure it's legal. I'm not sure how to do it in a way that's legal. So that's my big question for the land use attorney is there a way to do that? As it's written, I don't know. I mean, it would be great if that passes muster. I have my doubts, but I do like the intent. So I think that's what we need him for, is to tell us how to do it in a way that would survive any challenge, if that's possible. That's really my big question for him.
And then that's that part of it. And then if you don't mind, I just got a couple other
Yep,
small
yep.
things since we are discussing it.
Yes.
You were talking about the short-term rental part of it, and I understand your intent.
Yep.
But we do have the 150 permits on record in town, and that's all we can have. So to me is, if somebody put a tiny house as a short-term rental, it would be taking one of those permits. We're not adding any more permits to the total of 150. If we put a tiny house as a short-term rental, at that point, it may be opening up another house that could be used for a family in Wilmington, because chances are the tiny house is probably not going to be used for a family. It's going to be used, I mean, it could be, but chances are it's probably going to be used as some type of vacation rental, or, a vacation home for somebody. So if they did rent that type of thing, possibly it may open the door for another 3-bedroom house to open up in Wilmington if it takes one of the permits, since we're only having it. So I think there's pros and cons each way. I mean, I understand that you're saying it don't, but it may actually help open the housing market if some of these tiny places take some of the permits away. And then
just to quickly respond, we heard so much commentary from the public, and I think from members of the board, and the commentary was, this law is not helping with the housing shortage, because it's just going to spur the proliferation of vacation rentals, and it's going to make it easier for people to create vacation rentals. So, it's kind of a darned if you do, darned if you don't, because I'm trying to respond to what the public said their concerns were.
I mean, like I said, I understand, but if we have 150 max, we're not adding any. Somewhere or another, there's going to be something gave up or something added, because we're not going above the 150.
Except there's a giant loophole in the STR law.
About the accessory.
About exceeding the cap.
Well, I don't know if that's a giant loophole, but we can discuss that another time. And then the only other thing is saying there can be only one per lot.
Yep.
Does that mean any size lot? So if you have 20 acres, you can only have one, but if you have 1 acre, you can only have one? Like, I feel like if you have a 20-acre lot and you want to put 3 little cabins across it for different members of your family, you should be permitted to do that. And this is saying that you can only have one. So I just figured I'd bring it up since we're talking about everything.
Yep.
that was also something people didn't want to have a whole bunch placed on a large plot, just because there is a large plot. But then we had said that they would have to get a subdivision to separate those lots, and that would probably, alleviate that concern, because then they could have 1 per acre, I guess, however many. if they wanted to subdivide, but it would have to go through the channels to subdivide the property. And then they could place more than one if they wanted to.
It's just, there's families out there that, you know, it may be more cost effective to build, you know, 3 little houses and have, all right, parents are going in one and, you know, the kids down the line are going in a second little house or whatever when they're 20 years old, rather than trying to subdivide their lot and everything else. I mean, yes, I guess you could consider it accessory dwelling unit, but I mean, I'm just going to use this as an example. It's very much like the Amish community, except they take a house. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. And every time a generation comes, they add an addition to the house, and the family moves the new generation into the addition, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. So I was just thinking of it in that sense.
I think our code only allows for one principal building and then one accessory dwelling. So I think there would be a maximum of 2,
Right.
maybe more. I'm not sure exactly how many accessory dwellings, but I believe that is part of our,
That's a good point. That's already the
and
rule.
the accessory dwelling has
That's
to
when
be
we did it
smaller.
on the subdivision on Hardy Road, they were only allowed one accessory dwelling.
Doug, isn't that what our code says, like for any?
Correct.
So this is not creating something new that only applies to tiny homes or manufactured homes. This applies across the board.
Right, but the one stipulation for accessory dwellings is it can't be any larger than the original dwelling.
Yep. But every lot, I mean, unless they get a variance, which was the next comment I was going to make is, you know, this is not a far-fetched hypothetical, but I think if a family wanted to do that, I don't think that our planning board would, or our zoning board would, you know, put them through,
Well, New York State's trying to expand
accessory dwelling units.
the whole accessory dwelling thing, but nobody in the county has jumped on it. Nobody's changing their code, nobody's acting on it. So I think they're waiting for somebody else to jump first.
But the zoning board could grant a variance to allow additional accessory dwelling units
Yes.
in this. Go ahead.
Well, I can think of a few instances in town that this has been in the past, and this is where I'm thinking of it. McConvey's, not too far from you, used to have 4 or 5 cabins on their property plus the house.
Yep.
So,
No, I get it.
You know,
It's not,
Wilderness
it's not far.
has 4 or 5 cabins. Where Favor lived had a fewer cabins. I mean,
My
there's,
grandmother.
right, exactly. There's many properties where there's been more than one.
Yes.
You know, and I hate to take that. Maybe it's not in there now, but if we're trying to be a pro-housing community and open up ways for families to allow family members or anybody to have an affordable way, I think that would be one way to be able to do that.
You know, this is why this is a tough job, because at the public hearing, what we heard was, we don't want trailer parks. We don't want multiple trailers on one lot. You know, we don't even really want manufactured homes, but if you're gonna do it, we definitely don't want 6 on a lot, on a 3-acre lot that hypothetically you could put 6 on. So this is me trying to, again, accommodate what the public said they wanted. It's kind of a, you know, you try to accommodate what people want, and then, but there's an argument against that accommodation, that effort. So, but I think that ultimately it's all irrelevant, really, because that's our current standard anyway. So this, which is obviously, if Doug had been here, possibly someone could have pointed that out, that this fear of 12 manufactured homes on a lot, you would need a variance for that. And I don't know, you know, obviously any kind of, and we get so bogged down in these hypotheticals. And there's pros and cons to any situation, but like I said, I'm certainly more than willing to refine this further. But I just wanted to state that the reason it's here in the first place is because this is what the public suggested they wanted.
So maybe if it's already in our code, it's just more language again that doesn't need to be in there.
Well, it's more specific, and I think it would make it harder to get a variance for that if it's really spelled out that no more than one manufactured home a lot. But what does the rest of the board think?
What if we just increase it to 2 to match sort of what's already in the code? You can have like the main unit and then accessory dwelling unit.
Okay, but then at the public hearing, we're gonna hear,
I know, you're
I don't dislike that.
I have no issue, this is not coming from my heart.
Yeah.
This is coming from
Well,
what
it
the
kind of
public said
addresses
they
the
wanted.
issue that Darren was
Yeah.
talking about. If there's a family that, is trying to do this through tiny houses, it at least gets them started with 2 potential buildings.
Okay. And change that number to 2 then, for both tiny homes and manufactured homes. That's kind of, we're all on that page.
Well, it's already in the code.
Yep,
You don't really need to repeat it.
We'll
okay.
just remove it.
So just remove that.
Stricken.
Other thoughts, Darren? I know you had, we had gone to 300 square feet. Currently, like I said, currently the minimum dwelling unit is 500. Planning board asked us to lower that. We've gone to 300. I know you have a reason why you want 400, so I think this is a good time to discuss that.
I feel like I'm the only one that talks on these things sometimes, so I hate to feel like I'm saying
It's
too
fine.
much,
It's
but
fine. This is discussion.
the reason that I thought 400 is because RV units, anything have to be 399 or down.
Okay,
So if you take the trailer park models that basically don't have to meet New York State Building Code, as long as they're under 400 square feet, then they're considered an RV. If they're over 400 square feet, then they have to meet New York State Building Code. So the reason that I was thinking over 400 square feet is it stops RVs from being considered a tiny home.
I think in our code, it does say that they don't qualify as a dwelling, like that's at the back under dwelling, I think.
But a lot of the tiny homes that are made today on trailers, basically they're manufactured on a trailer. If they're under 400 square feet, they don't have to meet New York State Building Code. It's just, that's the way the code is written. 399, I think, or under. If it's over that, it's no longer can be an RV period.
would they wouldn't be able to get an occupancy permit if they,
It depends on where you live, actually. But like tiny homes on wheels, New York State says as long as it's on a foundation, you can get a CO for it. But that's a trailer, and that's gonna fall under site plan review on a lot of the zones, so.
so does that clear that up, or is that,
Well, it clears it up a little bit. Also, a modular style is gonna meet the code.
right? Manufactured home, not a trailer.
Modular,
Never.
manufactured,
No.
modular, yes.
Yeah, I have no real opinion whatsoever on this, on the number. Do you have an opinion? You want to go with 400?
Tiny homes kind of max out at 400. I know there's some out there that say 600, but 400 is pretty much your max on a tiny home. So if you're gonna get into tiny homes, 300 is low as I would recommend going.
Well, we're definitely not talking about going any lower than 300.
Right.
Please.
Can I just ask a question of somebody in the audience? Really, how big is your cordwood home?
The cordwood, I believe, is 300.
Even with the little addition that you had to put on?
Yeah.
Really?
My parents' original house was 20 by 20.
So 400.
I know. So, I mean, that it was tight. Well, for 4 people, we had a basement, but either way, yeah. Tight. I mean, 300 was recommended by the planning board. I don't see why 400 wouldn't be something.
Most of the stuff that I looked at, 400 was the reference
Okay,
people use.
okay. Was there a reason the planning board recommended 300?
Affordability.
Thoughts?
My thought is I wouldn't want to live in a 300 foot. So, that's how I feel about it.
But 400 would be all right, right?
I wouldn't be chomping at the bit to get it either, but it's better than 3. But hey, that's just me. If somebody wants to live in 300, I'm fine with it, as long as it's not me.
Yeah, but you gotta look at it as it's a start.
It is,
Comments,
you know.
build on. to
Like I
it.
say, I'm fine with it for somebody else that wants to live in that. They're more than welcome.
Maybe they don't want.
One of the things, and I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other, but one of the things at the public hearing was we heard people say, we don't want to be a shanty town and have all of these little 300-foot structures popping up everywhere.
Yep. Yep. Shantytown. Yeah, 400 is, I think, if everyone is, can get on board with that. Like I said, I've got no opinion. What else?
What about screening? I haven't heard anything about screening.
Yeah, that was in the very, very first draft. And, I'll let you field that one.
I asked for us to be a little more, I asked it for it to be removed because I feel like it's a hard thing for us. I mean, for an individual to get screening placed, regardless of like a business. I know we applied it to businesses and to, the past thing that we spoke about, the other law that we did, but it's hard for a homeowner to put that in and make it the however much of a buffer screening, whatever fences are expensive. We're trying to make it more affordable, not more restrictive. And I think that is something that I guess it would have to be addressed at the site plan review, and that would be individually per project. And
I mean, if there's trees, like say they buy a lot and there's trees between the road and where they want to put their place. You know, don't clear cut the trees just so you have a view of the road. Who would want a view of the road?
Yeah.
If you're buying a lot that's in the middle of a field, then if you don't want to plant trees, don't plant trees, you know?
You want us to put it back in?
I just think if there's existing screening on the lot or something, we would kind of probably want to keep some of that screening.
Okay. Anything else? You know, I can certainly make the change to 3 by 12 pitch, right? Well, it's currently, we have 5 by 12 in here currently. You want to keep, well, we're not opening the floor to the,
Sure, said snow day. Thank you.
I think that's a Doug question.
hey Doug.
That would be more of an engineer question for whoever's buying the home. If it's designed to handle it, it's designed to handle it.
What number should I put?
We could just leave it out.
Just delete this?
Yeah.
Permanent foundation, we want to define that more. We want them, so it's easier to understand what is meant by permanent foundation.
And I think maybe we don't need to do that here. I think that's something that you can work with Doug on, or
Uh-huh.
somebody, and Doug can give you a few examples of what classifies as a permanent foundation.
That sounds good.
Sorry, Doug.
You
I'm
know,
not putting you on the spot here. That's why I said some other time.
going through this, if we adopt this law, and if it says, well, it'll say manufactured or mobile homes are pre-1976. Manufactured homes can only be, say 5-10 years old, could be 20 years old. Therefore, mobile homes are effectively outlawed in Wilmington at that point. So I think if we pass this, the next thing that has to be done is going through the code and deleting every reference to mobile homes other than, unless other people have more thoughts on that.
What if there's existing?
Well, they're grandfathered in, yeah. Everything is grandfathered in that
There should
exists.
be very little mobile home talk in the code. It shouldn't be that big of a deal to get rid of it or change it.
Okay, so everyone's on board with that, basically, that we'll just, if we pass this, then we'll strike all references to mobile homes other than, the bare minimum. Something to maintain natural screening, no problem. At this point, I would like to take this, I think we're at, I'll make these changes, at least the first three, or no, the first two. Well, we're deleting roof pitch, so now we're only at permanent foundation and more clear definition. Deleting references to mobile homes, that comes later. Maintain natural screening. So we got basically two things to, what's that?
400 square feet.
Yes, but we've resolved that. That's the two open issues are permanent foundation and maintain natural screening. So I will definitely do the permanent foundation and get a more clear definition. Maintain natural screening. I don't know. I can try and figure out. We can all try and figure out. None of this is. Wilmington is not the first town to deal with any of this. So there's a lot of copying and pasting with this stuff. So if anyone would like to try to find some language from another town related to that, that would be great. Town supervisor could also try to do that. Code enforcement officer could also try to do that. I would like to submit it to VanCop, mostly just to find out if it's even legal to prohibit them from being used as vacation rentals. That's my big question.
I think we hold off till we
Hold
get,
off?
yeah.
Okay.
I think we need to have all the edits and.
Okay, so we need just two things, permanent foundation, maintain natural screening. Well,
And then
so,
remove the things that don't need to be in there.
oh yeah, that's true. A lot will be deleted, but I think a lot will be deleted after we pass this, because this supersedes. So that'll be, at some point in probably the next few months, we'll have to send these out to be reprinted because they will have changed enough that.
Right.
Yep. All right, well, for the work session then, we'll bring it up, we'll discuss it again. And maybe then it'll be ready for attorney review. Roll call 5. I'll introduce it. Go ahead.
Could we do the garden first? Since
Do the
Kevin-
garden.
Since
Yep.
Kevin's waiting for us.
Yes. It's good that this has been distributed to the board and the public at least, even if we don't get a chance to discuss it tonight. It's the very, very first step. So people can read it and all the reasons why they hate it. Okay, back to the garden. I'll make this motion on this next resolution related to the garden. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion, please.
we just limit it because these meetings are very long and I
Yes.
can't think we spend a half hour talking about the community garden again tonight. So can we limit it to 5 minutes or whatever?
Speed debate. Yeah, we can try to limit it to 10 minutes. I don't know, I mean, I have no idea how long it'll take to get everyone or three of us on the same page, so. But yeah, I'm certainly open to try to speed it up. Kevin, floor is yours.
Really quick, I think you all have received an email from me, from Tim, supplying you with the information about the garden. If not, I do have printouts. Would anybody like?
I think that'd be, yeah, I'd like one. Thanks.
There's the information printed. So just as a very brief recap, last time at the town board meeting, I came here to the garden, or came here to the town, seeking funding for the town garden. A little bit of background about the garden. I was provided at that meeting. And in the fall, we had an issue where deer broken through the fence. And so I came to the board seeking funding to install a new fencing, particularly metal backing fencing. During that board meeting, there were questions and concerns. I tried to do my best to respond to those questions and concerns. Those were typed up and sent to you all in an email. Again, a lot of that information is here. Folks like me to go over specifics. I think there were 3 areas, or actually 4 areas. Updated estimates, installation details, wildlife refuge fencing option, and a garden addition. Would folks like me to go over those briefly, or?
I would, but I don't have a strong opinion. It's up to everyone else. But
I'm up to speed on everything except your take on the wildlife refuge fencing.
Yeah, well, I went down and saw the new owner, met with the new owner. And I honestly, I didn't have much eyes on it. It was my first time meeting my neighbor. I think there are some things I haven't seen yet. The heaviness of the fencing, that there's fencing, I think, that can be compared to like what's around the basketball court as an option, but as Hannah indicated, there are some other options for gauges. So I think if I had my preference and my perspective and what we have here and my ability to install, I think my preference would be to go with the manufacturer that's specifically for the deer fencing. It's lightweight, it's easy to install, and it's something that's been demonstrated use, and it looks nice, at least in my opinion, or aesthetically. So yeah, it comes with a black PVC covering. So again, the aesthetics is going to be much nicer.
thank you. Thanks. Other questions for Kevin or other floors open?
What would the cost be?
Sure. So updated estimates. The lowest estimate came in at about $2,182, so $2,182 for critter fence. And as far as installation, that was also my preferred alternative.
The floor is open to the board.
Who's gonna install it, volunteers or?
Yeah, we have I presume that the folks who are participants in the garden will come in and lend a hand. Like I said previously, we have regular work sessions with whether it's adding wood chips, weeding, whatever the installation of the beds. We had to replace those.
Go ahead.
While I think it would be great to be able to reuse the fencing from the refuge, my concerns are how it's going to come out after they remove it, what it'll look like, you know, the functionality of it, and just the aesthetics of reusing that fence. I'm a little bit with Kevin on this one. I think I think this is a really good estimate for the deer fence that he got. It seems like a reasonable price to me, knowing that it will function exactly for what he needs it for, and it will look nice where everyone's going to see it when they're driving through. That's the one I lean a little bit more toward.
Do you have any thoughts? Laura, thoughts?
I don't know how much money the town has put towards this garden in the past, but considering the length of
answer that.
time that it's nothing.
Yes.
Right. So considering the length of time it's been in place, I think this is a tiny amount of occupancy tax funds that could be utilized for something that is enjoyable to look at, and it's a good pastime for the people that utilize it. And like I said the last time, if we could have like an overflow spot where people could grab things that aren't being utilized, that might also help with the community.
I did realize that I think we're spending 2,800 to seal coat the tennis court. And you and your sister are just about the only people I've ever seen use that tennis court, you know? So in my whole life, I've spent a lot of time in that park, and that tennis court doesn't get a lot of use. I don't think anything's very different these days. So, you know, even though, you know, Darren said, well, it's only 12 people, it's only 48 people in the town. I'm with everyone else, and I think it's a valid use of occupancy tax money. I think the only question at this point is how much do we want to contribute? The full amount? Do we want to contribute whatever, you know?
The full amount.
Okay. Other thoughts?
I think it's all about location. They have a community garden on Old Military Road in Lake Placid. And that has like a tall fence similar to what they have for the reindeer up at the North Pole. And that, in my opinion, that wouldn't look all that great for people that are going to the doctors or coming here on business or whatever. Well, I think in this area, you would want it to look halfway decent.
We definitely do.
Just another point about the fencing from the other, what's it called? Springfield Road. I don't know how we could get that in. If it's big post.
But I think it's a moot point.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Pat, please.
Does that estimate give the additional gardening space that you wanted?
No, it doesn't give the additional. There
There's
is,
1,400 for additional.
we're looking to add an addition. I'm looking at about 1,700. Unfortunately, then it means the rolls, for example, for the fencing come in 100-foot rolls. The posts for the fencing comes in 7-foot packages, those alone. And then there's soil, cloth, ground cloth. But outside of those details, I've been administering the community garden since about 2015, 2016. And I would say I don't have a lot of demand. I emphasized when I provided my information before that we have a full house right now, where all the beds are reserved. It's a point of pride because there've been a lot of years where I just planted flowers or potatoes because I didn't have the people. It's a tough thing to do to garden. And it takes a lot of time. It's not like rocket science, but it does take a time and devotion, whether it's getting there with weeds, planting, you know, I mean, our weather is difficult here to have a garden. And for me, I'll just say my gut feeling is I think we have a pretty sweet spot with our 12 plots. And we have some that peel off and people that come in, but I feel really good that I have like a core group that's utilizing it. And it's fully utilized right now.
I know we already had a motion and a second on this, but do you want to make a motion for the 2182, I think is the number? Someone can second it and then we can just vote on that. If
Make that motion.
there a second?
Second.
Okay, further discussion? We need to do a roll call vote.
Hamlet,
Yes.
Bjorn,
Fortunately, no.
Tim,
Yeah, yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Randy.
Yes.
passes.
Gary,
Procurement policy, this is on the agenda. This is, the version of the procurement policy that is in the town's minutes. This is like my stand-up comedy career. Same thing. It's so rough, our current, if that's really our policy, some of it makes no sense. It is not even comprehensible. So I took our current policy and spent several hours trying to make it comprehensible as best I could, bearing in mind the fact that some of it is all over, I encourage anyone to look at it. Some of it is literally incomprehensible. So this is what I've come up with, trying to comprehend. So these numbers are what I believe are currently in the policy. And this is here because, it's here because we can discuss any aspect of this. It's certainly possible that when I was trying to untangle this incomprehensible document, I made a mistake, or so everyone can, tell me what they think, and if there's any mistakes or whatever. And as well, we've been discussing raising some of these numbers. So with that, I'll open the floor to the rest of the board.
I think we look it over and maybe bring it back to I think it's a lot to absorb at the moment. And I think, we could have a more productive conversation if I'm all for moving the numbers a little bit and changing some things around, because seeing how difficult it has been just talking about different projects that have happened. I would be in favor of moving the numbers, but I think we need to digest it.
Has the lawyer looked at it, or will the lawyer look at it?
I didn't even think of sending it to the lawyer because I did not even have that thought, because it's not a contract or a law, it's a policy. But it's not an irrational thought.
Someone who's familiar with procurement policies, who has that experience.
I didn't realize how unfortunate that our previous one was until we needed to apply it to things. So it's we need an upgrade, definitely, for clarity's reason, if nothing else.
Yep. The one that's creating an issue currently is the 1,500 to 2,900. Do we want to change that number tonight and revisit everything else at the next meeting? Or do we want to just wait on everything? The thing is if we don't raise that, it's making it more cumbersome and making town employees waste their time, the current procurement policy, which,
Where do the numbers come from originally?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
I think they probably come from Essex County. In the past, we just carried over Essex County. I have a question on the telephone quotes. Is that legal? I always thought that quotes for stuff like that had to be in writing.
This is from I did not make any of this up.
No, I'm just asking.
It's from the previous policy, so
Well,
the current policy.
previous policy's outdated, isn't it? Isn't that what?
Well, I don't know. It's from 2025.
It says
Oh,
telephone
that's
here,
right.
but it's also just verbal quotes. Documented, we had talked to in a verbal quote. That's always been our policy.
John, do you have any request or recommendation about this? Have you even seen this? Just now.
Procurement policy?
Yeah.
Yes. My only thought is, it seems that, to me, I would think the board would be able to make a more substantial financial decision without getting 3 quotes on certain things. Like departments should be restricted to what they're allowed to spend, right? But want to get, say, the Visitors Bureau seal coated and it comes in at $3,001. And then instead of you guys being able to say, go ahead and do it, you would get, 3 quotes, which could take however long, whoever's awarded the bid, you gotta get him back there, which sometimes happens, sometimes is a nightmare. It just, to me, it seems like you guys should be able to make. You guys should be less limited, I guess, for getting work done more efficiently.
I mean, because the thing is that none of this is new, and you've talked to all these companies many times over the years. You've had this job for 12, 13 years, something like that, 15, 17, 35. So you know that Don's, for example, is going to be the low bid. So it's just requiring you, and they say, are you just doing this because you need a bid? And you're like, well, I don't know, kind of.
But also Don offered to do the firehouse for free and stripe, and not stripe here, but just touch up the arrows, because there's always the issue of people coming out of the doctor's office not following the flow of traffic.
Yep.
So how do you work that into, how do you work that into a bid? I guess you'd have to bid that out from everyone else and add it all up in one job and say $0 from Don. I don't know. It just seems, $1,500 isn't much nowadays. Neither is $3,000 really.
So I have some thoughts on it. I mean, we've approved for this year anyway, the highway superintendent to spend up to $2,500.
Okay.
But you as the supervisor can only spend $1,500. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you can't even spend as much as our highway superintendent. It definitely needs some work. And us as a board, right now, can't even spend as much as the highway superintendent, really, unless we have a full vote on it. I mean, he doesn't have to get approval from us, but you have to get approval from us to spend it. Like,
you mean $2,500 or?
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to spend $1,501 technically with the policy as it's written now, that would be 3 verbal quotes. And Lou doesn't need quotes for $1,000 more than that. Which I'm not critiquing. I think that is probably where it should be, given the equipment and everything that he has and the bills that he has. But I'm just saying, like, as a board, if you wanted, say you wanted to do, I don't know, it's windows here, like, and it was something that it was time restricted for some reason, and it was, $5,001. Then it goes through the whole thing instead of just saying, just get the windows done, and move on,
And in the meantime, you lose your contractor.
Right, and that's the thing, is waiting for ideally, yeah, it all works out fine, but ideally rarely happens.
Essex County has a purchasing department.
Okay.
Have you talked to any of them? I'm just wondering if they might
Nope.
be sort of like subject matter experts.
I was
to
at
just-
my wit's end trying to decipher the previous policy.
Well, it might be good to have the help of someone who actually understands what the state guidelines and requirements are.
And if you use the last one, favorably wrote it, he just used the county policy. The 2025.
Oh, I could tell.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. That's, okay, that makes sense. Well, I mean, where it is, where we are currently, if we're not going to do anything tonight, we're going to need, unless there's something I'm missing, we're going to need more quotes for the seal coating at the beach.
I'd say we just, and it's true. I mean, it says in there that if we're not able to find 3 vendors, then we're well within our rights, and I feel like.
And I didn't mean to interrupt, but so with the quotes for that too, if the quote was already read out loud at the last meeting, so like if I had a seal coating company and I was at that meeting, then I'm gonna come in $40 under what was already read out loud. So that's already happened, Ron. And for the under 3,000, is verbal quotes. So
Yep.
I got verbal quotes.
Yep.
You know, like,
Procedurally, what should we do so we can approve this?
seems like it just hinders.
I mean, Don has it broke down now to where each one of them are under $3,000. So I think if John's called around and tried to get 3 quotes, John's called around and got 3 quotes, and if he's saying this is the lowest, then we move forward.
Did we approve the other ones?
Yes, because they were all below.
I mean, if
3,000.
you got one guy that's gonna do 4 jobs,
And if we approved them last time for under 3,000, then I don't know why we wouldn't do it tonight.
yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
And I don't know how you quote in doing the firehouse for free too. You just have to get a quote for the firehouse from 3 people and then subtract that from whatever, you know,
Yep,
or add it, I guess. Subtract it, you know.
yeah. I mean, I don't think that it, go ahead. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I think we table the procurement policy and we move forward to the next resolution.
We're not gonna do this.
No, that's the next resolution.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, carries. No one's opposed, right? Okay. Okay, the next resolution, does someone want to make that motion?
I'll make it.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, discussion.
it's a resolution to protect and improve the parking lot at the town beach. Not to exceed $5,600. And that was the 2 quotes added up, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
Well, it's actually, right. Yes.
Including the other additional areas not included in the quote for free. So I'm in favor of that.
Yep. Okay, I'll make a motion to override, just on this one instance, the town's procurement policy. And
We're not really overriding it. If John's called around, it's
Yeah, he wasn't able to get, so you're fine.
okay, all right, I must,
That's why a few messages, it's just you wait for people and they know the game too. You just.
Yep.
Just shell this. So they're not too enthusiastic about that.
Well-
But it added on to the resolution that he's going to do the firehouse for free.
I think what you're saying is because it's not a written,
that's right.
right? But he reached out and he didn't get any, you know. So they're not in writing because they won't. They didn't get back to him.
That would fall under phone.
What's that?
That would fall under phone.
Oh, yes.
Even if you didn't get a response back, it was through the phone. Even if it didn't come back, you did make phone.
Attempt.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and there's several exceptions here, so I'm sure if one of us was to really look at this, we could find an exception that applies. So, okay, I guess all in favor of accepting this bid, unless there's further discussion.
I think it has to be a roll call anyway, right?
Yeah,
Hannah,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Tim,
yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Randy.
Yes,
Again, I ask, are we adding on the fact that they're going to do the firehouse for free? And the barrels out front?
John, do you have any thoughts?
No, he wrote it on, it's written on one of the quotes somewhere. I might have wrote it on all of them actually.
I have no opinion whatsoever.
I don't think it needs to be as part of the resolution because it's nothing to approve that. Like we approved the dollar amount, so.
Right, I was just thinking for a comptroller's interest, they wouldn't argue at all with somebody doing that extra for them. But it really doesn't matter because it's all legal anyway, we'll go over without it.
Okay, resolution in support of upcoming events. I will make this motion, I guess I'm gonna abstain, I shouldn't maybe be making this motion. Is there a motion on this resolution?
I'll make it. That all the above.
Okay, who did what? Too many?
Darren made it, I second.
Okay.
Okay, discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'll vote yes as well. Carries. This next one is something I've been trying to get to since January, and we keep running out of time. And I think we've run out of time again. But now everyone can look at it, think about it, and hopefully we can revisit it at the next meeting. I don't want these meetings to go much more than 2 hours, so we will have to postpone this one as well, I believe, unless someone's really chomping at the bit to. All right, public comments.
Please, on the overall two, the density was 1 dwelling per lot.
Correct.
Changed it to 2.
Correct.
Correct.
No, we got rid of it. I thought we got rid of it.
We just took it out because
Yeah.
that's what's in our current code now is
So you just took it off. Okay.
Yeah, it's gone.
Because making it 2 now puts 2 dwellings on a 1 acre lot. I think it's contrary to what a lot of comments were. So it's just that it's out.
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, so consistent with our current, you can already use on a lot. So.
yes, 1 unit and an accessory dwelling unit.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I just want to make sure I heard it right. So by the way, I want to say, good job, everybody. You're trying to make a lot of people happy with these, which is impossible. So, but I think you've done a great job.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good.
Just one thing, I would like the 1 acre for for number 2. Question I have with that, so is that for stick-built homes as well?
No, it's more permissive. Our lot, well, no, because you could put a stick-built home on a non-conforming lot. And in Hamlet 2, the minimum zoning requirement is a half an acre. So, I mean, the original point of this in the very first case, literally what we were asked to do by the planning board is to make it uniform. Apply the same standards to manufactured homes as to traditional stick-built homes, which is that's what we heard about at the public hearing.
So what about the moderate intensity? You added it to that as well, is that correct? What was the previous acreage on that?
1.
That was already.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hamlet 2 is 1. Hamlet 2 is it's also confusing. Hamlet 2 is what we think of as the Hamlet. Hamlet 1 is what we don't think of. It's down Springfield Road. And so Hamlet 2 is half acre. Hamlet 1 is acre. Please.
That brings up another question since Tim just Cliff just brought it up, Tim, is do we really need to even address tiny homes in the sense of if we're saying we're just lowering our building requirement to 400 square feet, then do we really even need to address tiny homes because it's 400 square feet? Like, do we have to have a definition of a tiny home? Because basically what Cliff just said is you could stick build a 400 square foot home, but is that now not a tiny home because it's stick built on site? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do we define what's a tiny home now and what's not if we're just lowering it to 400 square feet?
I think New York State says that 400 square feet is considered a tiny home.
Right, but what I'm saying is if our building code says 400 square feet, then what defines a stick-built home from a tiny home? Because stick-built or tiny homes kind of are stick-built.
Sometimes they're tiny houses on wheels.
Yeah, that might be an assessor question.
But if it has to be on a permanent foundation, it's not going to be on wheels anymore.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, again, it's us contradicting ourselves.
I don't think, is tiny home defined in our code? Or does it matter? You're
Well, that's what I'm
it
saying,
doesn't
does it even matter?
I don't know.
I don't think it was defined because I don't think people were building them then. The way they are now.
You know, yeah, we'll do this, no problem. Again, this is just in response to what we were hearing at the public hearing. So, but I'll delete it, that's fine.
No, like, again, I'm just saying, Cliff brought up a good point, because, I mean, if it's a 400 square foot minimum, that applies for a tiny home or a stick-built home or a manufactured, or it applies for 400 square feet, doesn't matter how it's made.
Yep, that's true. That's true. You know, this is another thing I would like Dan Cott's input on, honestly. John, please.
Yeah, I think you'll actually address that when you actually set what you constitute as a foundation. You put on a foundation, if it's a tiny home that comes in on a trailer, how is it classified that you're actually putting it on what? Mortar block and braced down or stone or whatever your foundation is, that it's gonna be secure to, and then the tiny home isn't going anywhere. Then it isn't any different than a stick built on stone, slab, or foundation. The other thing I had thought from a different board, I don't know how you do it with your board, but your procurement policy is that you have to meet in person or for approval, or you do phone calls, because different boards I've worked with, looking for approval for something, the head actually calls each individual and they say yay or nay on whatever. So I don't know if you actually have to have a formality where you meet for the amount, say like you approve the seal coating, or you have to be all in person and do that.
We do a similar thing with the commissioners of the firehouse as well. There's a group email, and they can make approvals that way. Not to interrupt.
It's okay, no problem. You are the public. Legally, any decision the board makes is supposed to be, the public is supposed to be able to view it.
But I'm just saying, if your numbers are out there, the Darren says, like, okay, that's something we have to have 3 or more that are approving it, you know? So if the numbers are already out there, John's presented it or whatever, and you find out within 30 days, there's no other quotes. You know, you don't have to wait for the next meeting or whatever to actually call around and say, hey, John's got all his quotes in, how do you stand on this one? I mean, if it's already, or lesser item.
You know, nothing's a problem until someone makes it a problem. Previous boards have certainly done that. If I were to do that, people would complain. Technically, that's not what should be done. Has it been done many times? Yes. Please, Steve.
2 questions. One clear. Are you banning mobile homes on 3 acres or more?
Say it again.
Banning mobile homes, single wides, on 3 acres or more?
We're defining mobile homes, single wides, as manufactured homes.
Right. There was, the way it was said, it was like they had to be a double wide. Are you saying you can't do a single wide on 3 acres or more like it's always been?
No.
Okay. Second question.
We're treating them all the same.
You were saying that you couldn't do a short-term rental on a manufactured home. So a modular home is manufactured. You spend $350,000 on a modular home, can't rent it.
You know, it is literally, it is a manufactured home. Literally, in the dictionary definition, on our code's definition, it's not considered a manufactured home. That's considered separate from, it's defined outside of, yeah, it has a separate definition.
And Jared's point on the quotas, they're already at 150, they'd have to go on a waiting list.
Regardless of that, I just wanted.
Well, I wish someone had said that when people were bringing that up at the public hearing.
We have a ceiling.
In theory. Okay.
Do we want to parse through the comments that were in the chat here?
Yes, I want you to, yes.
I don't know if we need to read through everyone. We can just ask if anybody has anything and to raise their hand, right?
But I think that's,
Unmute all.
yeah, I guess we weren't technically open to public comment before,
Right.
if they want to redo it now.
I'm gonna have to go back into this.
I thought she had her hand up to.
Is there anybody from the online that would like to make a comment at this time? Somebody just answered. It's blinking.
Okay. Robin has her hand up.
You can unmute. Yeah. Do you have to unmute her?
I think so.
Do the
Unmute
three dots
request.
above the people. Yeah, go there. Yep.
Mute
It's mute
everybody.
everybody, not
Lower all
unmute everybody.
hands.
Okay.
If you click on that.
I think they can unmute themselves, can't they?
You should be able to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should be able to. I can just go down through and unmute everybody.
Well, just, if she got her hand up, you know, unmute her first.
I don't think she.
I sent her a request.
I don't think she.
Oh, is that, I got that.
They right there. I sent that to her.
Robin, if you can hear us, try to unmute yourself and talk.
She's
Thank
there.
you.
Maybe that's from the line,
There's a comment just popped up.
You know,
Did you just say that?
John, I would like your input on the procurement policy. So,
I just think
Robin,
the
they're
board
calling
should be
you
able
there.
to make
Okay.
slightly
Somebody's trying to tell her
smaller
we're.
decisions. You know, I don't think I think that the departments should be limited to what they're limited to because they shouldn't be able to spend recklessly. But if you need to like seal coating at the beach, for instance, you're not gonna do that in July because there's 100 people down there. You know what I mean? So
that's true.
just for time's sake, like in an
Download it.
instance like that, you should,
I would do it.
I feel like you should be able to make a more
Hit that.
Oh, I do.
substantial
Okay.
decision.
It's on this computer.
$1,500
At
without
any meeting we have,
going
has
through
a
all
whole
that.
record.
That's all.
I don't
I have.
print them or anything.
My only thought.
it's
I
just,
think there's five people up there that are responsible and can make decisions.
it's 3,000 currently,
It
you know,
was, but they must have
after-
updated something
up to
in that
3,000, and then
one
after that, we
person
have to get
and
written
unmute
bids.
Everybody all at once.
So we'll raise that
Just scroll
number, I
up
think.
if you
We'll,
could.
we'll definitely discuss raising that number.
It's just
Yeah, I sent her
how
a
much
request.
everything cost, like that number may have made a
Go to
lot
the
of sense
chat,
in
it's up to her.
1995.
And just
but,
scroll up and
you
then
know,
we
like,
can see if there's anything that we need to address.
You got your,
Just
all your,
banter.
you know,
Here,
things
no,
don't cost the
this
same.
is hard for me to see over here.
We don't really need to address them because it wasn't public comment
Okay,
section.
no
so,
problem.
yeah.
All right, minutes to
Which
adjourn.
also hinders things too, because they know you guys.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
You go around
Is there a second?
all the time, you never buy anything.
All in favor?
It's just your opinion.
And a second.
You know what I mean?
Nobody knows what's going on.
It's a game.
Okay, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you all for coming. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you all for coming. I really do mean that. Thanks, Pat.
Von Robin's fun for that.
No, nope.
I'm gonna stop recording.
Maybe set up a
You want to
check
announce that you're going
there
to
is
get through?
available of some sort. He didn't say exactly.